Well, 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 if it isn't another Thursday, and, Thursdays are just not Thursdays without ThursdAGE, and so we're doing it. I'm particularly excited about this episode because I love community stuff. I love it when people are engaged and doing the thing, not for any other reason than they love it. And, that's the Expanse role-playing game lends itself well to that. And we have really kind of I would say like a celebrity group with us today. Why don't we just reveal our guests? Hello. We have Audun, we have John, we have Ian. All three of you remarkable human beings in your own right. Audun, you are the founder, you run, you coordinate, you invented the Expanse. Audun, you're gonna love this whole thing. You are such a modest guy. I'm just gonna gas you up, just be like, it hurts. So you are you started the Expanse RPG Fan Community, and you started on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Fantastic. And in the yes, this is going to be a great interview. No, Audun, where are you? You are broadcasting from
my little cave here in Norway,
and in Norway. I was going to say, and where on the globe is that? Yeah, awesome. Audun, you and I have talked for for some time now, and this is a contest that you have run that we're going to be talking about. And we'll get to that in just a moment. John, you're an old friend of ThursdAGE. You are an Expanse. You stream the Expanse. You live, eat, breathe the Expanse. Your beard is expensive.
I try not to. I'm running Abraxas Precipice, which is an Expanse, one of the many Expanse role-playing game actual plays. As you can see on Ian's chest, we have shirts. They are available. My hand-drawn logo, and what we
show that off a little bit, Ian. We'll have to drop a link, so that I like it.
Yeah, we have those available through our through my Cauldron Tower site. But we've been
love your merch, John.
Thank you. We've been going now for a year and a half. Actually, I figured it out this week. Yeah, so a year and a half with we have over 120 hours of gameplay now.
Wow.
And we've done several charity events, and we got more coming up, and we've been interacting with the RPG community, the television show community, the general community as a whole, because it is the Expanse period is just a huge community.
Oh, absolutely.
Across. It's an expansive community.
Right, I like it.
And that's how I met Audun and Ian, and they've been fantastic. And I've played with both of them actually in different instances. So.
Yeah, and this is just sort of that showing of community support. Look at this. Let's see. There's hello everybody. Yes, I'm glad you made it, Duke. We are hanging out with our friends. I guess, would you say it's the cherry on top, or are you the whole dessert, Ian Lemke? Maybe the whole dessert. You're the developer for the Expanse, and you kind of Expanse all day, all night. You really do eat, sleep, drink
a lot of the time. Yeah. So John's probably run more of the Expanse than I have, to be honest. I mean, how many hours did you say there?
We have 120 hours on air.
Oh my
God. So that we actually ran a marathon for our 1 year thing, and I had to run my laptop to stream for 86 hours straight.
Yeah, so you have me beat in hours of Expanse games run.
Yeah, but you're
nice.
Your name's on all the books, buddy. So
that's right. I mean, and so what I love about all of this is that each of us, with our expertise in our sort of domain, have created like the community. Both Audun and John, the community that you continue to build and the support that you give to just people who are interested. It is truly like watching the stream, John. It feels like canon. I mean, it is for all intents. I mean, it's the next phase of what's going on in the world of the Expanse RPG, and the work that you do over on Facebook. You've got a website as well. We'll plug that. Now, do you have merch yet?
No.
You don't. Yeah, we got. I think you need to consult with somebody who's really good at merch and get something going there for you.
There's this game.
Yes, there's that game. Yeah,
it's there. I'm pointing straight at it. That's the game.
Nice.
My stuff's all over
And
there.
then that's the map.
I do want to say, and now, if I recall correctly, John, you actually teach tabletop TTRPG.
Yeah, actually, I have that today after this. So I teach for the University of California, Merced, and I instruct a freshman seminar it's a part of a series called Spark, where students get access to an expert in whatever field to then ponder questions from whatever they want to ponder about the topic. And my class specifically is on tabletop role-playing games.
I love it.
And I'm in my, I think, like third or fourth year teaching it, and it's pretty successful. We bring in people. We've actually bringing people all over to talk to the students. So we had Josh Simons from Demiplane. We had Cody Pondsmith from Our Talsorian Games. And then last week we had my friend Indrani, who runs Desi's and Dragons, which is the largest tabletop role-playing game community in India. And she actually was the one that we chatted with at Gen Con, and was like,
that's right.
Didn't know there was an Expanse role-playing game, and was like screaming about it, and like wanted to found me, and then was like,
so great.
my hero, Avasarella's on the cover. This is so cool, and so that was a lot of fun actually, and that's how I met her, was through the Expanse RPG, and then
folks, if they check out our YouTube, will see we did kind of a quick ad hoc little interview.
I got one funny thing is actually I decided to make a tribute to it in our game last night, and I named a MCR end ship after her called the Andrani, and the crew destroyed it.
Oh wow, that's really what a way to go! What a way to go!
They hit it with the old they gave it the old Epstein torch, and that was the end of the Andrani. So I tried. That's phenomenal. That's exactly what a tribute. But I bring that up because I'm looking behind Ian, I'm looking behind Audun, and I see the quite an expansive library behind you. I mean, you are all immersed in this TTRPG stuff to the degree that you really can start to kind of talk about what it takes to create an encounter and some of the considerations, and that's really what this is all about. We tell us about the contest. Tell us about what this is all about. Walk us through it.
John, I think that's.
It's Audun. Yeah.
Audun. Yeah.
We'll let the guy who did it.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Well,
you're fine.
The one-page Adventure Jam was inspired by some other side of some other franchise. I saw they running these jams, and I thought this one-page adventure thing was cool and low threshold sort of way of involving and including the community to create a sort of a tool, a library of resources for us all. And so last year I tried that out, asked my fellow moderators on the Facebook group, like, would you care to sort of jump onto this and help me out? And they were like, sure. And then Richard, he reached out to Ian, and Ian ran the winning submission, which was my adventure.
Oh man,
the deck.
So I felt rather embarrassed about that, since I organized the whole thing, but I was afraid there wouldn't be enough submissions, because I had grand ambition. I thought there would be loads. We're like 700 people in this group, or whatever we were at the time. There should be many, and there were like 8, including my own.
And that's not nothing. I mean,
No, it's no.
Yeah.
So that's their realistic sort of expectation, I guess. And then,
right. Yeah. And in looking at, and so basically the idea, they write the one shot, and then the winner's picked by community vote. Yeah. Yeah.
So for different reasons, there are 2 Facebook groups. There's one sort of big one for everyone, fans and players and GMs, and then there's one for the GM. So the GM community votes for the winner, and that's also where I. So all the submissions last year, I in InDesign, I sort of beautified them, as I call it. I made my own layout inspired by various games I like the design and layout of, and because I'm a sort of amateur designer, layout artist. I don't know.
Seriously, my friend, you really are humble, almost to a fault. You are a developer, a designer. Like you do that work, right?
Well, only for fun. But yeah, so then,
sure.
So then I did that, and I'm still working on the one for this year. There are only 4 submissions this year, but I have been I have a new job. I'm a full-time researcher now, so it's quite hectic. But I'm still sort of working on editing them, and then there are usually some changes from what they've submitted to what that end up in the PDF, because they will forget stuff like advanced tests or challenge tests. They may not have read up on the rules entirely, so they have advanced tests or challenge tests that have no consequences, so there is no time. I mean, so the game mechanical things I will add and adjust.
And that's one. So I really want to. That's where I was headed with this. Is that in addition to doing this, just having a fun community activity, you are actually sort of walking people through the fundamentals of, and let me pull up the Facebook page. You cite references and resources, and it's kind of like a bit of almost like a clinic on, aspects of TTRPG development, right?
That's your words.
You know what we're going to do? Let's you and I make an agreement right now. When I compliment you, you just say, thank you. Yes, I'm brilliant and amazing, because I'm going to keep doing it until you come to terms.
Yeah,
it also makes for a better program.
Yeah, so I tried to. I like details. I like to make sure that things are as correct as they can be, in the sense of if you're citing rules, or then you should do that correctly, and of course trying to make use of the rules that are in the game. I'm not a very experienced Age, Modern or Fantasy Age or Expanse Age GM. I've played many other games, but there is something about the way this engine has been designed that I find to be very elegant and elegant. I think that's sufficient.
Sure.
There's an elegance to it, in the way
sure.
of what kind of adventures or encounters or stories you want to tell. You see it in Expanse, which was my first sort of exposure to this game engine, and then I've bought the other games and read through them, and then it's like, well, there is an elegance to how you can tell these stories and tell your stories, and in different ways by using different modules. And Expanse, of course, has taken some modules and versions of sort of components from the Mage engine and added some of its own. And it's, you see elements of similar things in other games, and I love them, and I love this. And it's like, I'm really not sure where I'm going with this, but there is something about this engine that I really like. I've played it a couple of times online, and I played at a local con. Actually, one of the games from last year, the Sakaya Cries, the AI game from last year, with the space station and stuff. And I ran that like a couple of months ago at the local con, and it was really fun. And I've not prepped it. I mean, I've read it and edited it, but I've never run it before, and I hadn't read it in like a year. And I just flipped open the page, and we ran it in 3-4 hours. And it was fun.
So pretty frictionless, sort of. It is sort of like riding a bike. You just kind of don't forget, and it works. All right, so John, let's talk about your role in this.
Voted.
You voted?
I voted. Yeah. I voted for one. I voted for one, and I read all. Was it 4 or 5? Was it only 4?
Was it 4 this year? I think
it was something like that. Yeah, and I read all of them, and 2 stuck out to me, and this was one of them that stuck out to me. And so I'm really happy that this is the one that people voted for and such too. I thought it was pretty strong. It had a lot of elements of what I expect from an Expanse game. So you can play Expanse. I mean, you can let's get a bunch of people in Martian power armor and start this, being badasses across the galaxy and play Space Marines. But you can also do it where, like, I think what really makes an Expanse game is the politics of it, and that there is no good answer. There is no perfect answer. And this adventure really exemplified that there is no perfect answer. And you're dealing with things that are basically like outside the elements of morality and ethics, like all this dead alien tech. And that's kind of what this one dealt with a little bit, was kind of the ramifications of this being in proximity to it. And so I dug that a lot. And that's why I chose this one. But I think one thing I did want to talk about, I'm actually really intrigued by, is one-page adventures. And there's been a push for this in the last, like, I'd probably say like 5 years, maybe even 3 years in RPGs, is just doing one-page adventures, or even one-page RPGs, for God's sakes, which is mind-boggling to me. But one of the biggest problems with like going through these books is that you're going back and forth, and it can be kind of confusing. You have to reference stuff like that too. Anyone that's ever ran Curse of Strahd will be happy to tell you about how much it is to jump back and forth an open world book game. And even Absolute Bounty, I had to jump back and forth to look back at previous sections and reference certain things that had occurred. And with a one page, you just like look at it, and there it is, black and white, or in this case, blue and black. And, and you can kind of just jump, you can kind of get everything and do it quickly. But, I was looking at this adventure, and one thing I like about it is that it's kind of rules light. It lets me kind of decide how much of the rules I want to implement, and then lets me be reactive to the player, because that's a big thing with my show, and that's a big thing I've been complimented on by guest players who have never played the Age system but walk away liking it or even loving it or wanting to learn more about it. Is they're liking how, I don't think Age is rules light, but I think it can be. I love how people can kind of take what they want from it. And like last night, our show last night was very rules heavy, because they were doing high G burns and doing space combat and all that chase stuff. But then other ones, I think we had one episode where we only rolled dice once, and that was fine, and everyone was satisfied and happy with it. So I think that Age system actually lends itself very well to one-page adventures. And
that's great. Yeah. So I have a question for you, John. Do you find that when you're, one of the things that I often kind of have to sort of contend with is how easy is it for people to onboard, to kind of ramp up and get into the spirit of things. It has been my experience that the adventure game engine really does lend itself very well. I mean, it was designed with that in mind. But do you see when someone is diving into an actual play, they're getting ready to do the thing and they've never done it before, and then you've got people who are just veterans. I mean, they're grizzled. They have been doing, playing specifically the adventure game engine, for decades even. Do you see that does the adventure game engine lend itself well to those kind of that disparate ability and skill or experience?
Yeah. So we had last week we had I've heard a few charity games where I had all new players, people that had never touched the Age system, I actually ran with Lauren Urban a while back from Idle Champions, and she had never played Age, and wasn't really experienced the Expanse, but dived right into it and understood it very quickly. And I've had people, I actually had one of my students play with us on my show the other week, and she'd only played D&D for about 2 years now, and jumped right into Age engine. I was like, oh, this is super easy, and just hit it really quickly. I think that that's why I like it so much, is people aren't worried about it. I won't kid you, this is another thing I like about the Age system that we don't really talk about much. I actually have a student doing a project on this, but looking at different statistical models for role-playing games. And because the Age system is a bell curve for your rolls, because of 3d6 versus a straight d20, which is completely linear. So that's been something we've been kind of talking about in my on our games, or back channeling on Abraxas Precipice, and talking about how we kind of like that. Like when things are, if you a +1 difficulty is a jump, not just a little step. And I kind of like that about the game, that it has that nuance to it. I don't know if that's relevant or not, but I think it's kind of cool.
Absolutely. So it's all relevant in we'll get to sort of the winner and talk about sort of the construction of that. But Ian, when you hear that kind of stuff, do you kind of feel like, okay,
I've been nodding along with that, because I absolutely agree that, it's one of the things that I love about the Age system and the Expanse, is that it's super easy to teach people. Especially, if you're starting with, beginning characters, I mean, basically 3d6 plus that number, and you're looking
so
for a
great,
target number. And then you'll have a couple of special abilities and things like that, but usually those are pretty straightforward. The stunt system is probably the most difficult for people to wrap around, but if you have a game master who's willing to sort of help with that, I mean, you can kind of say, okay, well, you can do this and this, or this or that, or you can get through it pretty quick. I mean, I was doing demos at Gen Con that were just like 10-15 minute demos with people, and they were able to pick it up and play within a 15-minute span, and we just did like a one scene encounter kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with all that, and I've loved these one-page adventure things. It does seem to be sort of a thing in the gaming community right now in general. Exactly as John was saying, when I was running the one last year, I admit I was in the middle of like 12 things when I was running.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I kind of like read it the day before and then, again before running it, and was just sort of running it pretty much straight from the sheet. But it was easy because it was just one sheet, right?
Right.
And I kind of wanted to see how that would work too, And I also think like the one pagers that don't spend a lot of their space throwing in target numbers and such, and what skills you need, because anyone who's run the Expanse for any period of time is going to be able to know what skill they're going to the door is locked, okay, what they're going to need to bypass it. I don't need that skill listed in the target number. But yeah, I hope more people do it next time. I'd be, if you're going to do it again, I'll try and get more actively involved with that and really push people to do it. I think part of it is a shyness. People, are afraid to throw their stuff out there. I mean, I know there's a lot of folks who'd like to do it, but
and that's part and parcel of why, having us kind of get together and talk about this is I think is important, and to talk about, it is, I feel like as an event, it is 100% right where it needs to be. Like, I mean, it kind of growing and doing this, and do you, from last year's submissions to this year's submissions, did you see a kind of was there a change or a seasoning, or did they develop, did people, submit twice, and did their work improve? Like, did you see a marked change in that?
I do not think we have any, let's say, call them resubmission submitters. I think they're all new ones this year too.
Okay.
So they're different this year. I think they're all quite different. Particularly two of them are dealing with a similar kind of ticking clock. The Amadeus and the Ringfall, they're dealing with having to survive or trying to escape something. So they're more like extended encounters, I think, and but they have some very interesting, I think, story placement in the storyline, like Ringfall is in the final book, and so I think so they are different, and I can't say that there's been any sort of seasoning. I did contact some of the people who submitted last year and asked if, because they had been positive, but time work, people do this in their spare time. But I think, I will do this again, because it's as you say,
better.
It is some. Yeah, no, it's something about the low threshold, and it's much faster than wait. I mean, no offense to Green Ronin, but it's much faster to do this and get loads of adventures than waiting for Green Ronin to publish a new campaign.
And that is
because you have a quality. You go through a quality sort of assurance. You have playtesting, and there is a professional level to it that is not the aim of this. The aim of this is to have something for GMs and the community to be inspired by.
I honestly, I think that we can feel good about where it's at. It's right where it needs to be. It shouldn't be bigger or more expansive or fireworks, and it's a wonderful community initiative that really is developing some serious tabletop roleplay development chops, and that just makes for better players and better GMs, right?
Yeah, and it, yes, it does.
I had two thoughts on that. I wanted to
please
add to that. So one is that I think this is a standard like kind of idea I always try to express to my engineering students I teach writing to, is that like, you know, the more moving parts something has, the more likely it is to break or have problems. And so the one-page adventures are very minimalist, and like there can be things that are incomplete, I guess. But I mean, any game is incomplete. That's the very nature of the tabletop role-playing game, is like it can't account for everything. That's why you have a human game master, and that's the big edge it has. But one thing I actually, and Audun didn't mention this, but this year did differently, was there was an encouragement to use Beyond the Ring.
That's right.
And to have the colonies. So they are one page, but they come with like a colony sheet. I think that was the one allocation they could have, like the colony and I think like the system sheet or the planet sheet or something like that, just to add, get those flavored out. And what's interesting about that, Audun, it's kind of made me thinking about too, was I ran my horror charity one shot, Hemos Rise, a few weeks ago, and I did use the colony rules to build the colony, but we never actually use it in the game, like on air. I used them as a way just to kind of generate the colony as a character, and then just kind of use that as reference to if the players had questions. And that's kind of what I saw with this, is it's kind of a reference that you can use if you have a quick question to answer. Just look at the numbers. Oh, yeah, they have indoor plumbing because their infrastructure is above zero. You know, it's like whatever. You know, they're not just urinating out into the out vacuum. You know, there's actually like infrastructure you can take a look at, or see if they have military. It's like, what would be the consequence? Could the players actually be punished by the colony? Can the colony back up their claims or something like that? So you can kind of look at that, and I think that was a cool
Do they have
move
weapons?
this year, was to add that, as because the colonies to me very much become an NPC. They're very much another character that they can interact with.
I just want to add that, I mean, and that was, I mean, my thought with when we were doing Beyond the Ring is, even if you don't do all the colony advancement stuff and use those rules, even having, you know, rolling up the colony, basically, as you said, and having those numbers there when you're running it, it just gives you a guideline without having to write all the details of what has this, it has that, and da da da.
Well, I would do the colony. I said, well, the colony's been around for like 2 years, something like that, and then I would do colony checks based on that timeline, and that would give me the story of the colony.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
and so that way I have a history written up for my players. And if we didn't really use the colony like rules in the session, but we used them to help like guide the previous session, and then I gave my players a good definition. If you want to see me actually use it, watch our charity stream. Oh my God, Morena Cycle was the one where we actually did like almost a year and a half in 4 hours of gameplay of dealing with the colony and stuff like that too, and doing checks and doing things work and not work. We'll say so. That was a lot of fun, and I think that's why why I think Audun was like very, very smart move to allow that to be included, and also highlight the new book, which is just one of the best.
And that was practically,
that was you know, the new books that had come out by this point. It was, well, that was everyone was waiting for the ship book because starships are awesome, but but the game is sort of set around that. But the Beyond the Ring sort of takes it that step further, and then to sort of play towards that. And you know, John has, I think, been talking very more eloquently than I can about the benefits of that. But that was part of the idea. And you know, if there is a new book coming out next year in time for this, you know, that has similar things that we can make use of, that would be good to do again. But yeah, and I wanted to highlight because in the back of Beyond the Ring you have these sheets that I have also, you know, edited slightly and made PDFs of, and I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway.
No, I mean, this is all good stuff. I mean, all of these are all things that people. That's another great thing about the actual work and the tools, is they're reference guides that you can tweak and change and adjust to suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is this goes back to an old thing. I used to work in a game store early in college. I'm sure we all did at some point, and
I owned one.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so,
But I did.
but I remember playing Magic the Gathering with one of my bosses, and he did an illegal move. I was like super up on the rules, and he did an illegal move. Well, you can't
Not
do
you,
that.
John.
And he said to me, he says, John, I need you to understand something about this game. The rule book is just a suggestion on how to use the product. and so that's always kind of stuck with me, especially with role-playing games. And I keep on citing that. They're just a suggestion. They're not necessary to make it all happen, but you can tweak and use what you want, take what you want. I mean, there's like sections of the Expanse role-playing game book that I've only looked at maybe once or twice. Sorry, Ian. But but it's like I don't need to go back and reference everything. I need to reference what I want to reference, and then I think that once again speaks to the flexibility of it all.
I can't agree with you more on that, by the way. You know, so no hurt to me at all, because I mean, games should be something that people enjoy, and you should play it the way you want to play it. It shouldn't be something where you have to look up every single thing. You know, to me, ultimately, the character rules are probably the most important thing. Because you do have to know how characters work, and maybe that's worth referencing. But beyond that, how anything spaceship combat or whatever, you know, just make it fun. You know. That's a big thing when I run my shows is I don't stop to reference rules. I'm like, this sounds good enough. Let's move on. And multiplayers understand that, and it keeps the story flowing, keeps the fun up. And if I do make a boo-boo or something like that, it's like afterwards, we're like, all right, we'll fix it for next time. We'll know better, do better next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, I mean, honestly, we talk about that a lot on this very program. And it's really the purpose of ThursdAGE is to talk about how flexible the system is. And it really is meant to scale to the fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not meant to be sort of a punishing albatross that you wear around, like these just giant, you know, D20s, and you just got to carry them around and roll them at people, you know.
That's a fascinating comment too, that scales to the fun. I mean, one, I'm going to tell you, you need to go trademark that immediately, but two, one thing about the Expanse game, and because I did play the Dragon Age game when it came out. I played that one, like the first Age system, and that was a lot of fun. But I've had to explain to people that like modern Age is not the same as Expanse's Age, and they're not exactly the same. There's some little tweaks here and there, but the core element's the same. And I like that you can kind of get. That's one thing I do actually really, really like about modern Age is that you can kind of pick how you want to play it, and the book's very open. Say which one of these versions do you want to play. And I think that's like probably one of those powerful things, because even with the Expanse, like a level 1 character can still take out a level 8 character pretty easily. Like you're not like, it isn't like, you know, a lot of RPGs where it's like if you have a level 5 versus level 1, you will just destroy everyone in first round of combat. Where this is like the scale is there, but it's not. It's very, very incremental. It's very.
Also, if you're a level 1 Marine and it's a level 8 engineer, and you're in a fight, the engineer's got a ton of stuff for on the ship, but not necessarily might not be able to shoot.
Yeah, there was a popular edition of a very popular RPG where you would have like a level 20 wizard could easily bench press more than a level 1 fighter,
right?
No matter what their strength score was, and it was kind of like, it's like what? Like, okay, that's weird. So, but yeah, I like the scalability of the system a lot. Actually, just and
I just find it just makes it everything a little more enjoyable around the table, because you're already carrying a lot of, you know, like, what is my character doing? I got to remember to do this thing. You know, am I being too weird? You know, like maybe that's just me. But yeah, so. I honestly, that's where I live, is Weird Town. But so there is, we've got another book coming out. I think it's the Expanse, the Nordics, I think is what we're doing, right? Isn't that it, Ian?
It's gonna be about the Nordic shared interest zone.
Right.
Just kidding. That's hilarious. No, I sorry, my friend. We're not doing the Expanse RPG, the Nordics. But real quick, and let me sort of reconfigure your noggins here so that there we go.
Jugglers.
And I want to not do that, but I do want to share. We want to talk about who the winner is.
Oh, sure.
And you know, and kind of celebrate them. So it was Those Who Trust, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And let's do the winner.
Hey.
Guilherme.
Yeah.
Congratulations, my friend, on two things. One, a phenomenal name. Absolutely just fantastic. So well done there. And also congratulations on this. Now, what happens next? What's the next thing to kind of shake out from this?
I want to congratulations and thank you for submitting.
Yes, you know, thank you for submitting, absolutely. And everybody who submitted, and we'll go through those in just a moment for sure. But you know, when it comes to like, so basically they get their own sort of real world spaceship, right?
Mm. Yeah, that's all
as a prize, like, yeah, and then they get to travel the ring and then make their own solar system, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. No.
Well, he made his own solar system, so
yeah, he did.
I see.
So we have one. You know, there's only 1,300 and something left now to name.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So we're gonna play the game. We're gonna play, yeah. And John, you have so graciously agreed. You are definitely one of my most favorite working GMs. Like you're doing the thing, and you're really good at it, and it's fun to watch and to participate in. But you're gonna run the encounter.
Yeah, I'm gonna run this adventure. I was actually trying today to spend some time reading through it. I mean, obviously I read through it just to kind of enjoy it through to see what's going on and what the storyline is. But now I read through it again to kind of see like how long do I think this game would actually last. And I'm looking at this one page and like seriously, I'm thinking like 3 to 4 hours for a game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
okay.
I feel like that's about. Ian, you have some? Did you agree or?
Yeah. No.
I think it was a good time for it.
There's a fair amount in there.
I think
depending what people do, but
this was one thing I liked about the adventure was, and why I would say 3 to 4 hours is because there's a lot of elements to build up in early in the game where if you don't cultivate them, it wouldn't be as impactful at the end of the game. The story would just kind of be like, oh, I guess that's what happened, but versus like, oh, I actually cared about this, and I like to make my players care about stuff and then take it away from them.
like every good GM, you know, give a little love, more pain. I like that. Let's see. I am looking at some of our comments here. Thank you, folks, for hanging out and for congratulating the winner. And let's see. It's Boyce Games, huh? Am I saying that right? Boyce?
Yeah, Boyce. Yeah.
Those who trust have some those who trust have some great themes about faith versus skepticism and more. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and,
fantastic.
Boys submitted the Hair Kitty.
I was looking at. I literally have that up right now, and I'm like, what is this?
I won't kid you. Boyce was my other top 2. That was I was very in between my high ranking ones, and Boyce was my other top ranked one.
That's great.
It was a tough decision. I won't kid you. It was a tough decision.
Yeah,
I spent about a good hour kind of like. Because I like to read something and walk away, and does it stick with me or not? And they both really stuck with me. So yeah,
that's great. And you know what I like about this is that the concern that you're taking with these. I mean, people are putting kind of their energy and their time, their inspiration, and you are always a teacher. You know, I see that in you when you're talking to folks and when you're engaging with folks. You are really taking that sort of educational kind of piece first. So you're not really. You want people to come away feeling like they've done a thing.
Yeah, but it was also kind of cool to vote on it because my job literally is to grade people. So,
that's right. That's
right. What I really think about them, but what their performance and their work is. But no, it was good. I won't give you like Boyce. I know Boyce. Like Boyce comes to our show and watches our show, and someone's cool in the community, and super supportive of my stream. And Boyce does good work, and I think they're actually local out of California as well. And so it was. But man, like I really read through all these, and that was the one that I really, really enjoyed. There's Boyce's comment. Yeah, everyone brought their A game. I think that's an apt comment.
I like that. Yeah.
This his mission is extensive. I mean, he went all out on the planet Rekuchi and also added a colony to it. So it's yeah,
I love it.
I liked all of them, and then
Yeah.
this year actually I didn't vote because I didn't get to read them properly enough in the sense before because of a work situation. But this was up there, and he's also the first non-Facebook community. He was not a member of the Facebook community when he submitted because he wanted to. He reached out on Twitter, so I set up an email for.
And I want to congratulate Audun on that expanding to like different platforms and everything.
Agreed.
Because there's Facebook's one thing, but there's a lot more people out there that are doing it, and we definitely focus on with Abraxas Precipice focus on some like Instagram and Twitter, and we've had a lot of reach out and trying to jump between them all. It helps bring the community together.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that a lot.
Me too. Yeah,
your website's gotten a lot better. Like I'm not joking. That's actually like it's gotten a lot better over the last year or so.
Yeah, no, removing the ads helps.
Oh yeah.
So and
not even that, but it wasn't even that.
Ads.
Yeah, because it was a free plan WordPress web thing.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, like a while ago, and then I thought, well, because I have all the ad blockers and stuff, and also I'm the author of the site, so I can't see any of that. But then I logged on to using a different browser, and I thought, okay, no, this doesn't work. I have to pay for this.
Right. Once you see, you can't unsee it. I do want to say that your work in sort of I've been doing online community management for over 20 years. Every job that I've ever had in my life has had the word community in it, and it's always nice to see people who get it. Like you're expanding in the way that you should, meeting the needs of the people that are coming to you. It's really great to watch, and you, sir, have a very strong commitment to keeping a community honorable and engaging, and it's really great to watch. I do so appreciate it, and I'm just gonna pull up this 1 second. I've got so many share windows up that I want to make sure that it's not like, here you go, look at my thousands of tabs, which I do have a lot of tabs. So Tyler did Here Kitty Kitty, and I'm gonna pull that up. I promise. That is at least the attempt I'm going to make. There we go. And ta-da! Much care for the way that Restream laid that out. But Here Kitty Kitty. Okay, so this is what I love is you just wouldn't think about, hey, Gabe, thanks for stopping by. Truly appreciated. Now, Tyler basically recreated the entire Cats the musical as something that happens out in space. I just think that's
the movie
amazing.
Version.
Yeah, it's like when they get into the UFO, this is where they go. Because we're talking about this, and I think that as an honorable mention, like let's dig into this a little bit and just kind of talk about like kind of what we dug about it or learned about Tyler in the process, and and just kind of riff. Sound good?
Sure.
I'll say right off the bat. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you got it. You have something off the bat. Do it.
I just right off the bat, the thing I loved is that it really did use a colony or use a planet, beyond the ring. I mean, and it felt there was a lot to do with that. And also Medina Station is near and dear to my heart. So having to deal with that was a lot of fun. I don't know. It felt like it took stuff like right from Beyond the Ring. I felt like this is something that fits right with what we're doing.
To me, it also like it includes like multimedia. So the page 2 has some maps. So it has a map of the planet. It has a map of some of these like encounters. So you can get an idea of what the layout is of the space versus just being like, okay, well, you're in a jungle. Where like what's the jungle kind of feel like or look like and such. And I thought that was cool. I like how he does. He also has the scenes are set up where it's like, hey, just off the bat, this is going to be either like infiltration or like basic exploration or social or combat. And so we know what we're getting into, and we can also kind of pick and choose but it lets the game master prep that, like, I mean, seriously, players will do wacky stuff once in a while where you're like, oh, they're gonna go talk to the shopkeep. Okay, they decided to master it now.
That's
You're like,
right.
all right, and this gives you kind of some preparation for that and such. So I kind of dug that, and I dig the it's a classic hunt. It's a classic. I mean, I think this is how this kind of adventure would go out and find some creatures, and bring them back. This is I think that's how World of Warcraft begins when you play it. Is like,
right,
it's a classic.
right.
It's a classic kind of tale, but doing it in the Expanses is something maybe you would think about.
Yeah.
And I like that. So it's kind of an old trope brought into a new environment, which is just
okay.
what we do, and I like that. That's a good, it's a hell of a way. That's what Hollywood does, guys. People. That's what
it reminded me of some of the old school Traveler adventures.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing. I mean, because the Expanse, there's a lot that feels like Traveler, but yeah, because I was like, oh, it just reminded me.
Ain't nothing wrong with Traveler, man.
No, but a lot more exciting and less dry than a lot of the old Traveler adventures. But just sort of in the feel of it, this is the kind of thing that you'd see in a lot of the old school Traveler adventures.
Well, I got to tell you, what I love is a really well done layout and an attention to detail. And so kudos for that as well. And this is good. It makes my ThursdAGE when I get the Stan turns on the ThursdAGE light and it shoots up into the sky and it says, check your IMs. And what that means is that Stan has created something for us. And we're going to get to that real quick. One second.
Is it another one-page adventure?
Yes, he just did a one-page adventure right away.
Late submission, one-page adventure, go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the winner is Stan. Okay, let's see what we've got. Alrighty. Getting it. Here, we'll do this.
That's what you got. I'm good.
This is great. What was that? I know, right?
The anticipation, man. It's
exactly.
Dr. Frankenfurter thing going on over here.
All right. Let's see. There we go. And
oh, there you go.
There we go. Hang on one sec while I make that a little more legible.
They are too. I mean, that is not wrong that they're tougher than they seem, because of the limited space and presenting everything you want to present. I mean, I deal with that all the time when I'm writing outlines for people, right? I don't want them to be too long because then the writer forgets what I wrote. So yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
I love it.
I always talk about like the Chuck Jones thing with the Roadrunner cartoons, was they had set limitations, and they kind of messed with the limitations on these cartoons to write them. That's why they're so good. And so that kind of self-imposement of the brevity, and all that kind of stuff is a really strong element to this. So yeah, I completely agree with them being tougher, but they're also easier in some other elements too.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the beauty of the trade-off of them.
Yep.
Well, listen, my friends, as per the norm, we get into it, we start talking, and then we're out of time. I want to say to the three of you, thanks for hopping on. And John, we're gonna make an announcement about timing and all of that here very, very soon. And we're looking forward to that. I want to thank everybody who was hanging out in the chat. Mr. Lovlie, I want to say to you, kudos and thank you for your years of coordinating with the community. We've appreciated it. We appreciate you. We love what you do. And to be able to kind of get all of us together, we're all kind of, working in our own disciplines, just trying to, have some fun. And it's working. And it's working because of folks like you and John, you as well. And we are just really grateful for all the stuff that you do. Duke, thank you. You are rad. Hey, do me a favor, folks. Wherever you are, just kind of stop, take a look. Is it thumbs? Is it hearts? Is it whatever it is? Give them all to us. Like, give them every single one. Just if there's 5, give us 5. If there's a thumb, point it up. And share with a friend. Send it to your mom. and see what she has to say. She may really want to hear from you. You know, holidays are coming. And I also want to thank our good buddy Stan. Stan, thank you for the art. As per usual, it's brilliant. You know, we ought to work with Stan to sort of create some kind of a retrospective, a book, you know, or something, have it published. We'll make $1 million, I'm sure. Right? I mean, we all got into this space to make $1 million because we're all filthy rich. No, we do it for the love. Yeah. All right. Well, so this has been ThursdAGE. Ian, what have you got cooking? You got anything cooking that you want to talk about?
Nothing I can talk about.
You can talk about your Kickstarter, you nerd.
Yeah, congrats on your Kickstarter.
I wasn't going to talk about that. Okay, well, my Kickstarter's over. But yeah, I just had a Kickstarter for my on the side. My thing other than Green Ronin is I did a Kickstarter for a game called Nevermore. It's a role playing game of American Gothic horror. It'll be up on BackerKit imminently within the next few days for late pledges and that sort of thing. If you missed the Kickstarter, but. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And there's other
I have
things
lots of Green Ronin stuff I want to talk about, but
we can't. Yeah.
I'll be back here soon. Let's just put it that way.
John, I know you've got a hard stop at 3. Do you want to share anything?
We're just Abraxas Precipice is on Wednesday nights on at 6 p.m. on twitch.tv/OnlyPlayWizards. We're currently we're coming up towards the end of our phase 3, so our quote unquote season 3. We're hoping to end that actually probably in the middle of December, and then in January, we're going to be at OrcaCon up in Seattle, and we're going to do Abraxas Precipice live. We're going to do an audio-only version of the game there.
I'll see you there.
They'll see you there. Yeah, post it again, and then we're going to start our Phase 4 in January, which I have not named yet, and I have several names floating. It really depends on how the players mess up. It really does. But we have the other thing I will say is I have keep an eye out in February. So my birthday's in February. We're doing a big charity stream at the end of February, and I can't say many more details about it right now, but it's going to be, I've stepped up my cast further than I ever have in terms of guest players. So I'm very, very excited about that one.
Nice. Fantastic. On anything you want to add before we wrap?
No, well, join the Facebook community. Check out
join the group.
Expanse RPG community.com. If there's lots of resources there. And the PDF for this year's, so one-page adventure jam collection volume 2 is upcoming, but it is not done yet, but I'm working on it.
Fantastic. You know, and we do go ahead.
I was looking forward to it.
Me too. And you know, we do what we can do as we can do it. Make sure you check out all the links that we'll be sharing in the show notes. Friends, thank you so much. We will talk to you again very soon. Come back next Monday for some Mutants and Masterminds Monday. We do it right here, same place, same time. We just switch out the skin suits. Bye, everybody.
Later.